Yes. Yo, sorry about the delay. I know I've been gone for a minute. I had a pretty busy work schedule. So that's pretty much what was behind the delays and everything. But let me just check the audio real quick. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm back. Yeah, my schedule was a little hectic. We had some last minute changes and things like that. So a brother had to make sure I took care of my grind, my daily grind, and so that got taken care of. And now I'm just chilling back, made a little breakfast for my kids, and now I have a little bit of time here. Now, so again, I'm back. Sorry about the delay. It's been a little confusing for some of y'all, but here I am anyway. Last month, yo, I got over 2 million views. So everybody that watched, I appreciate the support. I appreciate the interest, no doubt. But on to more important news, yo. Assada Shakur, she just passed. And for those of you that don't know who Assada Shakur is, because let's keep in mind, a lot of people don't. You can't assume that everybody's going to know who someone else's, freedom fighter for that matter may be. Or loved one. Like some people love Charlie Kirk. Well, there's a lot of people that were around in the 60s during the civil rights era, 70s, you know, and they know who Assata Shakur is, right? And so she just passed. So I just want to say, respect to Assata Shakur and respect for everything that she stood for. She was one of the realest revolutionaries, if not the realest, because she fled and she showed people what you can do. You can actually leave the United States of America and live, okay? Even as a revolutionary, okay? Even as a woman, I mean, we got to give her that respect as a woman too, because people are told every day that women take second place. Well, Assata Shakur didn't take second place to nobody, to no man, to no woman. She lived her life the way she carved out for herself, and she didn't give a goddamn what you think about it. Okay, that's what freedom is. Freedom to choose. 2 seconds. Hold on. I can see I'm making a little noise in the background. Let me take my hat off. Yeah, exactly. Fourth Horseman, respect to her, and deep, profound respect to this woman. Assata Shakur is probably one of the realest in my lifetime. And again, not to take away, not to say that there wasn't a whole lot of real ones, because there was, but I think she might take the cake. She might actually take the cake, and a lot of emphasis is put on men in the struggle for a just society in the United States. A lot of focus has been put on men. Well, guess what? I think I have to concede. I believe, Assata Shakur may have outdone all of them because, like I said, not only did she put it down like she believed herself without giving a damn what you think about it. Anybody that wasn't there thought about it. She was profound because she thought, I believe she even thought about this moment we were in today, the the nature of these types of situations, and how embedded they are in our society and our desire for struggle for human rights, and she left. Castro's regime received her. And there's a lot of debate you could say about Castro and how long his family may have been in power or whatever you want to describe it as, But it doesn't matter because she escaped. She escaped the oppressive forces of the United States of America of that time, and she lived her life. And it ain't a mother effing thing you can do about it, period. And also, it ain't a goddamn thing Trump could do about it either. So respect to Cubans for that one, like straight up, regardless of whatever political debates you want to have. Respect to Cuba, our American brothers and sisters, for honoring that struggle and being real about it. No one can ever take that away from you. So, on that note, let's move on now. I'm going to get back to Assata Shakur later on today because I'm going to do a more in-depth live tonight right? Because now I'm free. I got some days free, 3 days free. So I'm going to be all on it again. But let's move back. Now, the Epstein files. Wow, yes. The Epstein files. But it's not only that. It's not only that, Fourth Horseman. It's all kinds of shit. It's all kinds of shit. First of all, people are saying now, due to video footage, folks have had time to study this footage. Folks are saying that Charlie Kirk did not get shot from the front, that he got shot in the back, and they're showing the footage. It's an ex Marine that had a podcast that showed the footage. And he's saying no. He's saying it couldn't happen that way, that he could have not been shot through the front. We're going to review that. The Epstein files were also dumped. And as you know, we find out, lo and behold, guess who's all up inside of them Epstein files? Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel. Hi, Peter Thiel. Hi, you rich asshole. Hi. You want to try to own Americans? You want to try to own America through the back door? Think you could slip through Epstein, the Epstein crack, the pedophile crack? You know, Elon Musk. Yo, these dudes are all there. These guys are all there. They're all there. And they lied to you. They lied to you, specifically the MAGA folk, because people on the left ain't never buy their bullshit. Okay? It is the MAGA people that love Peter Thiel. It is Peter Thiel that's behind JD Vance, the MAGA butt lickers, pedophile butt lickers, boy Vance. Yes, yes, that's who was behind it. Elon Musk. They loved Elon Musk with a vigor, raiding the Treasury Department. They loved him. These MAGA fools loved him, and yes, he's all up inside of the Epstein files. That's the latest. That's now it takes some time to go through all these files. This is the latest dump. This is the dump as of 24 hours ago. Yes, but it's been there. They've known about it. They lied. These people lied to you. Okay? They all up inside of it, and they've been lying to you. So MAGA people, I don't expect trolls to change their, trolls are going to do what trolls do. They boost the algorithm. But I'm talking about real MAGA voters. Real MAGA voters aren't necessarily online all the time. You know what I'm saying? And, really, they're feeling it right now in real life. They now say the files are totally fake. Exactly. And it's like, unfortunately, they really exist, though. For Trump, for Peter Thiel, I'm starting to think Epstein is a goddamn hero. But it shows you the nature of corruption, because they will throw themselves and each other under the bus for any reason whatsoever. And I think that is the tale of it all. Billionaires throwing each other under the bus, having a fixation for little girls, and being willing to conspire and even possibly murder each other. And I think that that's what's coming out in the Epstein files. I mean, but in any case, let's bring up some more information here to back up some of this stuff, because I don't want to just say it's me making this stuff up. It's not me making this stuff up. Oh, by the way, James Comey also. Comey is saying, F you. He loves his country, and he's taking the shit to trial. And what the fuck you got to say about it? Nothing. That's what Comey is saying. So big up to Comey, James Comey, and his daughter was filed, and she was the one who prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell. What a coincidence, I wonder who's behind that, right? But in any case, this is the video, y'all. Now, let me let you know who this is really quickly before I go on, so everybody can go through and see the entire video for themselves. He is telling people to spread the video. So the podcaster name is Range Day Bro. This video has over 6 million views. This video is just released in the last few days, and it is making its rounds. So his name is Range Day Bro, and it's his friend who released this video. It's his friend who's a military, right? Ex-military or military. Now, I've said enough. Now let's take a listen to exactly what they're saying.
The bullet coming down, and it does line up with the actual gunshot itself.
So you're not counting gang violence. Great.
So this video was created by a friend of mine who is a Marine. You'll see him here at the end. This is the angle he is showing the shot coming from, showing where Charlie was sitting, and the angle of the shot, which will correspond with this video here, which unfortunately we will blur out Charlie's face, but we will show what is necessary to prove that this was an entry and exit wound. So you'll see him circle the highlighted area right there, and you'll see the exit wound corresponding after, a split second after, as it would from an entry and exit wound. So in this footage, you can clearly see that Charlie is shot from his back right, and there is blood splatter coming out of the entry wound immediately after a shot. The first arc is kind of down, as if it's just gushing out from the entry wound. And then the second shot corresponds with when his head kind of snaps forward. That fluid then flips up in relation to that motion, so you can see there's that second splatter flipping up into the air. This is something that I hadn't seen to this date. I saw this for the first time late in the evening yesterday, and I decided that this needed to be put out immediately because no one that I know of is talking about this. So big shout out to my friend who actually found this and created this video. You'll see him here in just a moment, but let's just one more time look at this shot. You see bullet comes in that circled area. You have the blood splatter go down, then up, and then immediately after, you see the exit right here with the skin being pierced, and then the exit wound emerges. And again, that is not a far distance for a bullet to travel, whatever the caliber is, whether it be 5.56, 308, 30.6, it's not even a debate at this point. It doesn't matter what caliber killed him. What matters is that the official narrative is not true. Again, whether the FBI knows or not that they're lying, but this is 100% conclusive evidence that Charlie Kirk was shot in the back of the head, and it exited through the front of his throat. All of the evidence points to Charlie being shot from his back right. Now, including this little blood splatter that we can see here against the white backdrop, the extreme hemorrhaging from the front of his neck, which again corresponds with an exit wound, the extreme loss of blood. No matter what the caliber is, that distance, that amount of meat is not enough for most bullets to expand. I mean, 99.9% of bullets will not expand in that short distance. Most of them require 12 to 14 to 16 inches even sometimes of tissue to expand properly. Also, Charlie tensing up correlates and proves that he was hit in his spine. It's a spinal injury. Any of the game that I've shot in the neck or in the high vitals where you impact the spine, the game usually drops right in its tracks because you sever the spinal cord. This is again exactly what we see with Charlie. He tenses up. His head movement also correlates with being shot in the back of the head. His head snaps forward, and then he tenses up, and you see him fade away, drop the mic, and was absolutely traumatizing video footage. And I'm sorry to have to show you guys this again, but this needs to be seen and talked about because this is going to be suppressed in the algorithm. So make sure.
The bullet coming down.
Okay, so obviously he's talking about his buddy's video that he put out, right? Now, he does mention whose video this is. Now, let me just bring this up for you also. And here's the thing. You might not want to talk about it. You might be against talking about it. I'm not against talking about it. I'm not claiming to know. However, I do report on what I see and what I hear. And this video has got 6 million views, right? And this is what they're proposing. Now, the other thing that's been said is that the letter, this is been even more widely spread, that the FBI letter does not match up, doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The email that the FBI claims to have found with the conversation between Robinson and his lover, quote unquote, people, this is all over mass media now. This is way more than 6 million views. This has got to be like 40 million views. They're saying that, and including myself, you know, when I read the letter, it doesn't make any sense. It sounds like, how do I tie in about 5 different things quickly and neatly into one little convenient email? Boom, this is how I do it. And yes, it does kind of read Cash Patel Valhalla-ish. Now, this is the guy who put out the video. Folks should go investigate. And and make your claims, whether you believe it's true or false. Make your arguments. I don't mind hearing arguments, but I don't claim to know. But what I could tell you is that that's what I don't do. See, I don't claim to know. But here's the thing that if I don't know, I don't claim it. But one thing I do know for a fact is that Charlie Kirk preached hate in the country with more weapons per person proliferated than any other place on earth. And that is not a smart thing to do. That is not something I would do. That's not something I would advise anyone around me to do. That is very stupid. But also, outside of hateful, that is just outright suicidal and dumb. You know, I don't think it works. I don't think preaching hate like Charlie Kirk did makes the country better. I think it's more of a cancer to the country. Those are the things that I know. Right. I know that the United States has more weapons proliferated per person than any other place on earth. That's a fact. I do know that Charlie Kirk preached loads of hate and that he was a phony. That he just did it for money, basically, and was a political pawn. And he paid the price. Why he made those choices himself, maybe he's dumb enough to do it, but I know he wasn't doing it for the reasons that he said. He wasn't doing it just for idle conversation to help the country learn and help and exercise freedom of speech. No, he died the way he thought was okay, and I just don't agree with him at all. So, on that note, check out this video. Here it is. Instagram. Here it is, 8.03XX or RIF4RAFF on Instagram. I'm sorry. And YouTube is 8.03XX. Now, for those of you that claim to know and want to argue against this man, go for it. I think you should go up there and go to his website and argue your points to him. Now, on to the next story. Here we go. And here we go. Here's another shooting. Guess what, y'all? Another shooting happened in Texas. It's not a shooting that a lot of MAGA people may have liked due to what's coming out, more information. Trump and the FBI tended to want to mask the hate in America as coming from the left, which we know is not backed up by any data, no scientific data whatsoever. And here is another bombshell. The family says themselves that the ICE shooter was not a radical leftist. Yes, there it is. He was not a radical leftist. And if we need to go into this article, let's go into it. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Let's read it. This is for people that really, have some have some other ideas about the United States of America. Let's see here. Oh my God. Jonathan Jan, 29, the alleged shooter who fired from a rooftop towards an ICE facility in Dallas, Texas, killing one detainee and injuring two others. The family of the suspect in the shooting at the Dallas Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility say he was not a radical leftist. He identified as an independent, even. I mean, this is wild, and it just is what it is, I mean, again, people can dispute it if they want to. People can say that it's not true if they want to. But myself, I pretty much agree that it is what it is. The family knows him best. Just like the grandmother of Robinson said, he's not a leftist. They don't know any liberals in their family. I just wanted to point out to people, if you want to know who somebody really is, you need to ask specific questions, not assume. And if you notice with the Robinson case, they've never, the right-wing media has never really asked specific questions. Like they never said, what's Robinson's feelings about immigration, illegal immigration? What's Robinson's feelings about reparations for African Americans? Is Robinson in favor for reparations for African Americans? That might be a good question to know if we want to put him as a leftist. Is Robinson in favor for abortion? Do they ask those questions? I mean, so far I haven't seen any of those questions asked to him. what I've seen is that his grandmother said nobody in their family is a leftist. The media says everyone in his town, it's a strong Trump supporting Republican town. That's what I've read it. Now, there are gay people, apparently, and I've said this before, and I don't want to offend anybody, but there are gay people that vote for anti-gay legislation in the Congress of the United States of America. There are congressional members that have been, they've been said and outed, many of them outed, and have left Congress before. It's nothing new. So there are gay people that vote for anti-gay legislation and go out and speak about anti-gay legislation all the time. So I think there's some nuances there. You got to give a little room. You got to say, just because somebody might be gay doesn't mean they're not a right winger. Just because someone might be gay doesn't mean, or whatever they want to describe themselves, doesn't mean that they don't believe in gun rights for, weapons, assault weapons. See, you could be gay and you could believe for all those things. You can be gay and believe in hangings. You could be gay and believe in capital punishment. I mean, seriously, it's like that in the United States of America. So there's some nuances there that I think right-wing media just kind of try to just overlook and conveniently throw out the stories that they want to throw out. But the reality is that there's a lot more nuances than people may want to admit. Now, let's go on to hold on. Let me read the chat. Okay, I see Cosmic Slushy's been on a rant here. Got about how many comments? Wow. Okay, let me see here. He hated this. He hated a lot. Yo, KG, he hated lots. He said it himself, If he didn't hate, he had a problem with so many people, different types of people in the United States of America that he himself didn't understand and basically talked down to like he was better, like Charlie Kirk was better. No, Charlie Kirk is just one person. He's not any more better than anybody else. He doesn't have any more of a right to live than anybody else. He's not any more special than anybody else. And his family hasn't contributed to the country any more than anybody else on the left. Okay? Plenty of us on the left have ancestors that we can trace back to the Civil War and even the colonial period, like mine, for example. So, just because you're out there preaching hate doesn't make you a real American. Just because you hate gays doesn't make you real Americans. Just because you hate Hispanics or blacks or don't view them as real Americans doesn't make you a real American. Okay, we've already proven that through Elon Musk being a naturalized American, Peter Thiel having 3 actual citizenships, Peter Thiel, Trump actually being a 2nd or 3rd generation American himself. You could be all those hateful people. You could say all that hateful stuff, but it doesn't make you a real American. We already been through this. I've done this story before. 2 of the Heritage Foundation founders, 2 out of 3, are only 3rd generation Americans at best, like Trump. You see what I mean? Only one of them actually has ancestors that go back to the Civil War. So we have to stop allowing people to talk this right-wing stuff and just, allow them to bolster up their ownership over what an American is and who is American, when a lot of these people are immigrants themselves, hating on other immigrants and hating on other citizens, people that can't even call themselves citizens. I mean, immigrants. How can you hate on a Native American? That's just crazy, but you will find it out there. So you will find it out there. Now, let's get into these latest files here. Let me see here. Right. James Comey. Oh, my goodness. So they want to indict James Comey. And yeah, let's get to that. This is what James Comey has to say. James Comey is saying he don't give a damn. You can indict a ham sandwich. Let's go.
We're just getting reaction from former FBI Director Comey on the indictment. Let's take a listen.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump. but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial.
We've just learned his arraignment will be October 9th at 10 a.m. Getting reaction from former FBI Director Comey on the indictment. Let's take a listen.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it.
Now, in most countries, right, most Western countries, people do actually care about what generation you are. Just to be honest with you, I myself, I don't live in the United States of America. I'm born and raised in the United States of America. My family on both sides goes all the way back to the colonial period, right? I love my country, but I've also traveled around my country, lived in different states in my country, and also have lived outside of my country long enough to know these small nuances that a lot of people that haven't seen much wouldn't be able to comment on. In Denmark, there's terms. You can be a citizen, but there's also other terms people acknowledge. First generation, second generation. Yes, and that's not just Denmark. That's many other Western countries, right? And the reason why you do this is to have an idea, a conversation about what culture is, what Danish culture is, and so in the lens of what American culture is, Peter Thiel holds 3 different citizenships. In the lens of what American culture is, Donald Trump is a 3rd generation American, meaning his grandparents migrated to America. In the lens, right, of what being culturally is American, USA American, right, only 2 of the Heritage Foundation founders, 2 out of 3 have family members that go back to the Civil War. That makes them 2nd, 3rd generation American. In the lens of culture, American culture, okay, in the lens of American culture, I myself, my family goes back to the colonial period on both sides. So in that context and conversation of what an American is, these people are fucking hypocrites because they're literally walking around talking about defending culture while they're ripping it to shreds. That's what this is about. Okay? It's not me who really gives a damn if somebody, I'm not claiming that someone knows that someone is that's an immigrant knows the culture any faster. But these people were the ones that started this culture war. They claim they want to defend culture, right? The truth of the matter is that they oppress women because they want to own women's bodies. They want, the right wing in America want to tell women what they can do with their bodies. And they have a fixation on bodies. And where that fixation comes from, it's really, I would say, akin to slavery. You don't own somebody else's body. You don't get to tell someone else what they can do with their body. You get to own your body and you get to keep your hands on yourself. Now, if you look at Trump, he seemed to have a hard time keeping his hands to himself. If you look at Epstein, he seemed to have a hard time keeping his hands to himself. If you look at a lot of those men that protect him, they seem to have a hard time understanding that you don't get to put your hands on someone else or control someone else. That's what this is about. So let's hear it again from Comey.
which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial.
We've just learned his arraignment will be October.
There's only one federal government that's not releasing the Epstein files right now. That's the one under Trump. But anybody inside of it should be outed, right? But the people right now who are not doing it is Kash Patel, Bondi, Donald Trump. These three people hold the key. These three people are MAGA Republicans, and these three people claim to be helping America.
October 9th at 10 a.m., Comey has been issued a summons to appear. We're just getting reaction from former FBI Director Comey on the indictment. Let's take a listen.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we could.
So, what's the cost? So, is this American? So, you go after James Comey. James Comey is being prosecuted, in Donald Trump's words, because I was prosecuted 5 times. So, is that the American way? Is that the American way? Is that what we're going to do? We're going to prosecute people who basically just did their job? So, Donald Trump didn't take top secret files out of the White House and refused to deliver them when confronted by the federal government. He didn't refuse to deliver those files back. Okay, see, this is the magic world that MAGA people want to live in. They want their cake and eat it too. Really, they're just bigots. And the veil is being pulled off of them right now. Really, they're just bigots. They don't have any special claim to the United States of America, just like Elon Musk doesn't, just like Peter Thiel doesn't. How many passports do you have? If you have a passport, if you even have one, if you have an American passport, do you have more than one? If you don't have an American passport, you don't have to answer this question. But if you have an American passport, do you have just one or more? If you have more, then put 2 in the chat. If you only have one, put 1 in the chat. I am only an American citizen. Unlike Peter Thiel, unlike Elon Musk, and probably unlike Trump, because Trump likely has a passport. Who knows? He could definitely get one overnight. So let me know, how many passports do you have if you're an American citizen? Let me know in the chat. It's 100 people listening. I'm just curious. I'm not like Peter Thiel. I don't have 3 citizenships. Peter Thiel has 3 citizenships. Elon Musk has more than 1 citizenship. Okay? These are the people surrounded by Trump. These are the people that basically own Trump and Vance. So I haven't seen anybody put a 1 in the chat except me. So I'm assuming now that I'm the only American in the chat that has only 1 citizenship. If you have more than 1 citizenship, put a 2 in the chat or more. If you only have 1, put a 1 in the chat. This is how we will really get to the bottom of this story. You see? I'm tired of people with 2, 3 citizenships trying to fucking tell me what a real American is. Like straight up. Straight up. And it's not to say that people with 2 citizenships are disloyal or don't follow the law or are hurting or can't be leftist. No, that's not the point. The point is that when you're dealing with power, we need to discuss reality. And right now, the people with the most power in the United States of America, Peter Thiel and Musk, that have more contracts, more of the taxpayer dollar, they have more than 1 citizenship. That's the point. They have more influence than any of you in the chat will ever have in your entire life, including myself. Do you think that's right? Well, they're the ones that seem to think it's okay to prosecute Comey. There you go.
Couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant.
Ilhan Omar is not a billionaire. She doesn't have. How many contracts does she have with the federal government? How many contracts does she have with the federal government? Matter of fact, let's just do this so we can be clear. You know, that's the problem. They don't want to talk about people don't want to talk about the billionaires that own Trump and Vance. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to. They want to talk about American culture, American values, when the two billionaires behind Trump and Vance are not even. They, they have citizenships to 3 countries. You know, how many contracts do Musk and Thiel have with the federal government? And for how much? This is your tax dollars. And some of you are slaves. You're happy to give them all your tax dollars too. Like, seriously. Let's see here. Damn. Whoa. Wow. And the type of contracts is all your information. All your information. This is crazy. Okay, so just to remind you, the family says, in case you thought this was a leftist in Dallas, family says Dallas ICE shooter was not a radical leftist. Okay. Now that we've gone over that, so let me see here. Now let's see who is in the birthday book. What new information has come out of the birthday book? By the way, I've downloaded this. I put it in the chat. The download link is already in the chat. If you're interested in seeing for yourself what's in there, you can download all the files yourself and read through all of them. You know, I've already gone through a good number of them. It wasn't that much, but there's enough there. So, and it's going to take time for all of it to be in the news cycle. But here we go.
Here are the top 10 most shocking revelations from the newly released Epstein documents. September 2025 congressional disclosure, compiled from the Oversight Committee files and verified media summaries. Reuters, Washington Post, Politico, Business Insider, and CBS. 10. New birthday book entries with political and tech figures. The 50th birthday greeting album, long rumoured but only now fully unsealed, includes handwritten notes and personal drawings from Elon Musk, allegedly referencing a planned meeting in 2014, Peter Thiel, with meeting notes, Bill Gates, referenced in calendar entries, Steve Bannon.
All these people, so Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, yes, both of them continued to meet with Epstein knowing what he had been convicted of. And actually, I mean, you have to ask the question, have any of them been actually trafficked girls to? I mean, you have to naturally ask that question. So put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you would like to know if Peter Thiel or Elon Musk is one of the names that those 50 plus victims that went out on the Capitol lawn are saying they are identifying in their new list that they're making themselves. If you would like to know, put a 1 in the chat. If you would like to know if Peter Thiel or Elon Musk had minors trafficked to them or others trafficked to them by Epstein, put a 1 in the chat if you would like to know. I will myself put a 1 in the chat because I would like to know. Let's see here. You can see, hold on for a second. Let me just time out. This troll who just is like, somebody's having a heart attack because we're just talking about public information. You can see y'all in the chat. So I'll just time them out for a second, give them a breather. So again, Put a 1 in the chat if you would like to know if any of those victims that were on the Capitol steps, right? That's 50 plus victims who said they were compiling a list of their own because the government knows and they won't release it. If you would like to know if Elon Musk or Peter Thiel are one of the people that the victims say they were trafficked to, or Epstein trafficked girls to, minors to, or girls to, or people to, humans, put a 1 in the chat. That's what I'm interested in. Hey, what's up, Christ 59? I put a 1 in the chat because I would like to know. Why would a person not want to know is what I'm guessing. And you could see how many trolls in the chat, they don't want to know. They're admitting they don't even want to know. What's up, Brandon? Can you believe, like, even if you're a MAGA supporter or not, why would you not want to know if Peter Thiel or Elon Musk is in the Epstein files? You already know they lied. Elon Musk openly lied about having contact with Epstein, and Maxwell. He already lied about that. So the next question is, did he have women or girls, minors or otherwise, any human beings trafficked to him? But now Peter Thiel, you can see it's been outed that Peter Thiel was actually having meetings, or was going to have a meeting, or had some contact, or was trying to get contact somehow, some way with Epstein after he had already been outed, pretty much. So I would like to know. And for the record, you see how the troll activity calmed down instantly from night and day just because of that one question I asked. You see, just for the record, notice that the trolls have instantly just shut up, because that is the kryptonite. And that kind of shows you they could be part of a troll farm being paid by these people, because Peter Thiel, Musk at least, these people have a lot of control over the internet. They are alleged to have paid, and Russia, who is helping Trump, and China, who's been alleged to be helping Trump on the internet. Notice how those trolls just stopped when you ask them, do they want to know if Peter Thiel or Musk are in the Epstein files? That's crazy. But I'm gonna let it play some more.
Bannon, listed as a planned visitor. Prince Andrew, already implicated, but new messages show continued ties even after 2008 conviction. These entries don't prove crimes, but they reveal social proximity long after Epstein's known offences. Surveillance footage from the night of Epstein's death. Newly released Bureau of Prisons footage, congressional subpoena, shows Epstein's cell block in the 8 hours leading up to his death, guards sleeping, then falsifying.
Rod, you didn't put a 1 in the chat, Rod Line. Yeah, I agree. And of course, everyone agrees with that statement you're making. In fact, I made that statement earlier. But the question is, why would you not want to know if minors or anyone else, any human being, was trafficked to them? If you would like to know, Rod Line, if minors or anyone else was trafficked to them by Epstein, to Peter Thiel or to Elon Musk, put a 1 in the chat, everybody, if you would like to know that. That's just a question. If you wouldn't like to know, you don't have to say anything. Oh, okay, there you go, Rod. I see you.
22-minute blackout in the timestamp,
good,
previously
Rod.
redacted, raises fresh doubts about DOJ's suicide conclusion.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, we just had a troll expansion here, and as soon as I asked this question about would you like to know if Peter Thiel, the guy who has 3 citizenships, who gets government contracts from the federal government, and Elon Musk, the guy who has multiple citizenships, probably 3, maybe 4 also, who gets even more federal dollars, would you like to know if they had minors or anyone else trafficked to them by Epstein? All of a sudden, when I asked that question, all the trolls just disappeared. It was crazy.
Cash ledger entries showing massage payments to Andrew. A ledger dated December 2000 shows a $200 payment labeled Massage Andrew. The following day matches a photo of Prince Andrew and Melania Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Suggests continued transactions and social ties between Epstein, Andrew, and Trump circles. Calendars show planned meetings with Musk, Thiel, and Bannon. 2013 to 2017 schedules list. Lunch.
Would you like to know if Steve Bannon Steve Bannon is a fat man. Okay, I'm not saying all fat guys are disgusting, but look at this dude. Come on. If we could ask about the rest, it's not even looks that even matter, but come on. You know, this dude is in the same damn circle. What about the other guy that went to jail? Who was the guy who went to jail? What's his name? I forget, but he wouldn't talk, and he was on Trump's first campaign. He was one of Trump's first campaign dudes. He went to jail. He's kind of disappeared now. Uh, Shit, I want to know if all of them had anybody trafficked to them. But here you have Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is one of the first guys that was with the campaign and all of that, or down with it or around. They're mentioning him now. Do you want to know if Steve Bannon had any human beings trafficked to him by Epstein? I mean, I'm putting a 1. I want a 1 on that one.
Elon Musk. Dinner, PT. Peter Thiel. Meeting SB. Steve Bannon. These were...
Hold on, let me just highlight Rod's comment here real quick. I don't know why both sides, non-elite, wouldn't want to know. Screw all the elite on both sides if they're doing that. Absolutely. That's where I'm at with it. Yo, listen, I'm a registered Democrat, but I vote for competence in what people say. I don't vote party line exclusively. That's just weak. If you grassroots activism and grassroots political activism requires that you understand the issues and that you want an in-depth understanding of what's going on, and that you support people that fight, in an in-depth way, in a comprehensive way, that do know what's going on, period. It shouldn't matter what party it is. But I can't understand why anyone from any political party would dare want any type of corruption, pedophile activity, or this kind of weird situation where you have people with 3 damn citizenships getting lion's share of federal government contracts, even raiding the Treasury, even around supporting anybody that's okay with talking about Social Security, invading the Social Security, invading the Treasury. This is what Peter Thiel supported. He supported Vance and Trump to invade the Treasury Department. Are you out of your mind? Hell fucking no. That's way too far. That is way, 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 way too far. And keep in mind, these guys have multiple citizenships, and you're letting them in. You're supporting people like Trump who let them walk into sensitive areas of government like that. They shouldn't be anywhere around it. They shouldn't be anywhere around it. And I'm going to tell you, I'm an American citizen, born and raised in Washington, D.C. My family on both sides comes from the colonial period in the United States of America. But I live outside of the U.S. I live in Denmark. I can understand if somebody looks at me and calls my kids first generation or second generation. I understand. I understand that. Although my kids are very, very Danish because were born here. They grew up here, right? They're very, very Danish. They love the country they live in. They speak Danish. There's not really much difference except me. I'm not from Denmark. You see what I mean? But I'm also very pro Denmark, But I would be very sensitive if I was any Dane about allowing somebody with 3 goddamn different passports into sensitive areas of fucking government or military. I would be very, very cautious about that, like straight up. And I would expect anybody from any country would be, like straight up. But here you have Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. How many passports do they have? And they all up in the U.S. government business, man. It's crazy.
Meetings, no proof they occurred, but all a post-conviction, showing Epstein's lingering access to elite networks. Previously unknown flight logs. New manifests reveal flights between Teterboro, NJ, Palm Beach and St. Thomas, Paris. Passengers include unidentified minors and one coded as VIP02, matching Bill Gates's travel dates. Some names redacted but cross-referenced by journalists with contemporaneous events. Foreign intelligence connections re-emerge. Memos recovered from Epstein's estate include Mossad contact ED, believed to refer to Ehud Barak, references to French passport renewal, via consulate connections, mentions of Swiss banking accounts tied to consultancy. Strengthens prior speculation Epstein operated partly as a foreign asset or blackmail intermediary. Blackmail-style insurance files.
Oily fingers. Just to answer your question, and I did see Et's D's reply to you. I agree. Highly doubt it would be anywhere near as bad as the U.S. Yeah, and Oily Fingers asks, "You're black. Any problems with that in Denmark?" To answer that question, I'm just going to tell you, I've traveled to a lot of countries around the world. Traveled to a lot of states in the U.S. I'm just going to tell you, there's no country on earth that doesn't have some form of issues with discrimination. If it doesn't matter if you are in Africa, if you're dealing with black people can be discriminatory against other black people and others. Okay, so let's just keep it real. There's not a place on earth that doesn't have issues with gender bias. Does it exist in Denmark? Probably one of the least countries that has issues with gender bias, but you will find it there. They talk about it openly, right? People talk about these things in Denmark. Issues of being black. Yeah, I would have to say there are some small issues, and the main issue I would find is that the data, as far as the data, the aspect of data, being comprehensive data on monitoring the people of African descent, their progress, in a comprehensive manner, that's a little lacking. But the Danish government has been working on that as of late, right? But again, I'm born and raised in Washington, D.C. I've lived my whole life in the United States of America, except being an adult. In my 30s, I came to Denmark, right? Because of my kids, primarily work and my kids, right? And I can tell you that, yeah, it's true. It ain't nowhere like it is in the U.S., man. And not just the issue of being black. Yo, Denmark is unilaterally better on a many, 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 many issues regarding discrimination. Gender bias is better. Not to say that there's not any gender bias. Is there racism in Denmark? Yes, there is racism. Typically, it's not as bad as most places anywhere. It's very, very fair. It's very, very fair. I would emphasize that. However, if you don't, it's a small country. So if Danes are sensitive to people discriminating against them, also, and so they've had some issues like that. But typically, most people and most foreigners, they do recognize that Denmark is one of the best countries to live in. Is it perfect for everybody? No, it's not perfect for everybody. Is any place on earth perfect for everybody? No, there's no place on earth perfect for everybody. And every place on earth does struggle with different forms of discrimination. I would say one of the biggest issues is more cultural. And I would say it has something to do with maybe Islamic, different groups. Some are more moderate than others. And Denmark's been a little sensitive to that. You can see that in the reporting. But I would caution people that criticize. I say you should criticize where there's room to criticize, but you should acknowledge where there's room to acknowledge. And Denmark has a lot of good to acknowledge if you pay attention to it and really look at it for what it is. Number one, workers' rights are protected greatly in Denmark. People's human rights like healthcare, access to education, those are some of the primary things Danish society and Nordic society stands on. That means that no matter who your parents are, everybody has access to be who they want to be, to make themselves stronger. Now, so that's what I would say. But again, it ain't nowhere near anywhere close at all to what's going on in the U.S. with discrimination. Nowhere close. So.
One folder titled For Insurance Only includes copies of guest lists, room logs, and flight seating charts, handwritten notes describing leverage and recorded favors. No videos released yet, but metadata suggests surveillance existed. Names of lesser-known high-profile visitors, newly revealed or confirmed names: Leon Black, Apollo Global Management; Glenn Dubin; Larry Summers; Reid Hoffman, LinkedIn co-founder; Woody Allen, all listed as either dinner guests or donors for Epstein's science fund. Evidence of DOJ knowledge and limited prosecution. Internal DOJ memos show FBI agents warned Epstein was still trafficking post-2008. A 2014 memo recommends sealed indictment, deferred for policy reasons. Indicates federal agencies knew more than disclosed and chose inaction. 1. Client list isn't a myth. It's fragmented. The files confirm there is no single client list document, but many partial lists across schedules, ledgers, and correspondence. Combined, they reveal hundreds of contacts, with dozens of repeat names in contexts like appointments, massages, and gifts. Suggests Epstein maintained a structured network, though direct evidence of illegal activity per name remains unproven. Summary. These new disclosures don't deliver a single smoking gun, but collectively undermine claims Epstein acted alone, implicate elite social, political, and financial networks, show federal negligence or complicity in oversight, reignite calls for a special prosecutor or independent commission.
Right. So there you have it. I could see people wanted to know, people are interested in how things are in Denmark. You know, me personally, just to wrap that part up, I would say it's important to show people who you are and what your intentions are wherever you go on earth. So I would say having, you know, and I'm judging by my experience, you know, Danes are open to criticism. But just like everybody else, they are also, you know, human and can be, you know, maybe put off by situations that maybe they would view as harsh or unjust criticism. You know what I'm saying? Now, so it's important to just show people why you're in a place and why you're here. Like me, I would never live somewhere that I didn't think I could live and that I wasn't happy to live in. Right? I wouldn't choose to go to a place like that. You have the choice to live, and you have the choice to leave. You have the choice to stay. You have the choice to leave. But judging by my experience, I would have to say overall, Danes reach out to people. They reach out to a lot of different people, regardless of who you are, regardless of what your background is. They make sure they're giving space, trying to give space to hear everybody. And in Denmark, you definitely have freedom of speech. You definitely have your access to education. You definitely have access to healthcare, and you definitely have access to shelter. So when I look at rights and when I look at what values that people have, those are the things I try to tell people to look at, no matter who you are, and take it serious, you know, when it comes to how much someone else values you. So I would say Denmark gets it right way more than they get it wrong, period. And as an American, you know, I just have to respect that there are things that they get right that us Americans fucking get terribly wrong over and fucking over and fucking over and fucking over again. And I have to emphasize that because I'm an American that lives in Denmark. God damn, I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it. Denmark has done some things way better than my own country has fucking been able to do. And I'm talking about basic things that should be basic elementary school shit, you know? So, and one of the things that I really hope Denmark continues to do is don't ever let somebody with 3 goddamn citizenships all up in your treasury. Yo, not like that. Don't give people with 3 citizenships fucking all your federal government contracts. Don't give someone with 3 citizenships that much power, because look at what's happened in the US. That's your example. What's happened is your example in the US. Be very afraid. Be very afraid. Because look at what has happened when you got Peter Thiel, got 3 different citizenships, all up in your White House. Look at what happened when you got Elon Musk. How many citizenships does he have? All up in the White House, all up in the Treasury, all up inside of government with influence. Look at what happens. You get disloyal people to your fucking country. That's what you get. You get people undermining, trying to tell you that backwards behavior, controlling women is what culture is. That's what Peter Thiel supports. Peter Thiel supports women not being able to own their own bodies. Peter Thiel supports right-wing movements that are saying women are second to men in their home. What the fuck? That can never be allowed in Denmark. You should run. Be afraid. And Peter Thiel has 3 different passports. So connect those 3 things. Elon Musk has 2 or 3 different passports. Connect that shit. Either these people are fanatics or they don't have any loyalty to the United States of America. Or both. I would say it's both. So be very afraid of making those same kind of mistakes the United States has made. That's what I would say overall. And if I had a choice, to live in Denmark or live in the United States of America under motherfucking Donald Trump, Peter Thiel, or Elon Musk, I would say fuck Donald Trump, fuck Elon Musk, fuck Peter Thiel. And would I fight for Denmark before I would fucking fight for this regime? Right now, you motherfucking right I would. Any day of the fucking week. It's an easy goddamn decision to make. Would I fight against Russia taking over this place? Hell motherfucking yes. I would any day of the fucking week. And I would advise anybody to do that. Anybody to don't get it twisted. A lot of people think a place has to be perfect for them only before they're willing to recognize what's good for everybody. Nah, I'm not one of those kind of people. You got to give. It's give and take. If you get confused about the things that matter, you could lose them overnight. And just look at the United States of America. Look at the United States of America. People got confused, huh? People got confused. But in any case, let's move on. Let me get this out of the way. Here's our friend Peter Thiel. Elon Musk and Peter Thiel mentioned in Epstein documents released by Democrats. Is it released by Democrats? Okay, well, it ain't released by Republicans. That's for damn sure. But let's see here. Prince Andrew was also in it. Steve Bannon was also there. Damn, Steve. I mean, is Steve Bannon even married? Is he even married? Steve Bannon? You never hear nothing about Steve Bannon's wife, man. That's what makes it. Now, I'm not saying, that should be the only qualifier or something, that make someone like, damn, Steve, what you been up to? But in light of this, it's just a natural question that pops in my mind, Peter Thiel, who's he married to? Elon Musk, who's he married to? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know. Is Peter Thiel married? Please let me know. Is his wife a right-wing Christian who believes her place in the house is under her man? Let me know if that's the case. Democratic lawmakers on Friday released documents from the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein that may show interactions between the disgraced financier and prominent conservatives, including Elon Musk, Steve Bannon, and Peter Thiel. The 6 pages of documents made public with redactions come from a batch provided by the Justice Department to the House Oversight Committee, which is investigating how the sex trafficking charges against Epstein, who died in 2019 in federal custody, were handled. You don't say. That's interesting. Okay. Now let me see here. Oops. Damn. It went kind of fast. Let me pull that back just a tiny bit. Copies of the Epstein calendar released. Okay, it's the calendar. And by the way, the link is in the chat. Just go back to the beginning of the chat. I put the link in the chat before we started the stream, so you can download all this stuff yourself. Copies of Epstein's calendar released by the committee's Democratic minority show a breakfast planned with Bannon. Oh, they wanted to have breakfast with Bannon, an influential Donald Trump ally, in February 2019. Damn, that's right before he went to jail, right? Other schedules mention a lunch with Thiel. And damn, this is 2 years before. This is 2 years before Epstein went to jail. This is 2 years before. Is that right? Peter Thiel, 2017. Potential trip by Musk to Epstein's private island in December 2014. So look, y'all, you just have to understand, these people didn't give a fuck about what Epstein was doing with no trafficking. They did, and they could very likely, given the fact that they have investigators themselves. These are billionaires. These people have investigators. They investigate anyone they're going to meet for any reason whatsoever. You think they didn't know about all this nasty shit? And they were still going to have lunch with the dude. You see? So this is how they moving and mixing up in the United States of America, even though Epstein Island is in the Virgin Islands, right? Technically, I believe. But Epstein's an American citizen above other things. Again, that's another thing to point out. Where's his loyalty lie? That's the question. Peter Thiel has 3 citizenships. Where does his loyalty lie? Elon Musk has more than 1 citizenship. Where does his loyalty lie? Epstein had multiple citizenships. Where does his loyalty lie? I do not have more than 1 citizenship. I am an American citizen. I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. My family on both sides goes back to the colonial period. Where do my loyalties lie? That should be a question anyone asks. Ask me. Shit, where do my loyalties lie? But goddamn, I only got 1 citizenship. I'm not begging for a second citizenship to Denmark. I'm not going around saying, hey, can I be a citizen in Denmark? No, I'm just living my life, raising my kids, enjoying things here, living legally, enjoying and loving the country. If I become a citizen later, who knows? But I don't have to be. The law says that I don't have to be. You see what I mean? The law says I have every right that everyone else has except to vote for the prime minister. That's it. I can vote for the local government, whatever else. That's it. So I don't have to be. I can still retire here, have my pension here and all of that without being a Danish citizen. But why does someone need 3 citizenships when they all up in your government business? I'm starting to ask myself, does Steve Bannon have another citizenship? A manifest from 2000 for Epstein's plane includes Prince Andrews, whose relationship with Epstein is well documented. With the financial disclosure the Democrats released shows Epstein paying someone listed as Andrew for a massage, exercise, yoga at the same year. I mean, Prince Andrew. Did you buy Ghislaine Maxwell's story about Andrew? Like, nope. She basically sounds like a liar, 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 pants on fire lady, looking to get out of jail, looking to get a pardon, which she's probably going to get from Trump, like flat out. I'm pretty sure, because if she doesn't get that pardon, she's going to release some shit on Trump. I'm telling you. Early this year, Musk accused Trump of being in the so-called, whoa, that was fast. Earlier this year, Musk accused Trump of being in the so-called Epstein files. Right. You see, so this is bullshit because Musk is in the files too. You see how he's playing that? Like, Musk knows. You got to understand as American citizens. Americans are one of the very few countries where you have the right to bear arms in your Constitution, the Second Amendment. It's not written that in everybody's Constitution. Number 2, the one thing these people all fear is that they have an armed citizenry. Musk, Trump, Thiel, they all fear that. You know why? Because if they could make your ass slaves tomorrow, if they could own the whole country without your permission, oh, they would have done it already. If they were not dealing with an armed citizenry, trust me, they would have done it. And they're still trying, but they're trying to convince you that it's a legal way to do it, that you should just accept it because, hey, that's just the law, right? No, that's just corruption of law. That's just buying off the Supreme Court. That's just buying off the presidency. That's what corruption does. That's just what owning the algorithm does. You can manipulate people's minds and lie about certain candidates and then actually get the pedophile protectors in office while accusing the other party of being the protectors. That's what basically happened. They can buy anything they want, and that's corruption, but they still going to have to deal with an armed citizenry at the end of the day. And thank God for that. Don't give up your rights. Don't give up your First or Second Amendment in the United States of America because your sovereignty is under threat more than it's been under threat in the last 100 years right now. Straight up. Then in July, Musk publicly said, how can people be expected to have faith in Trump if he won't release the Epstein files? Man, you see how manipulative this is? Why should people have trust in either one of them? You see, he's like, try. You're not going to fool me. I don't have trust in Trump, Elon Musk, or Peter Thiel. None of them. Don't have trust in Amazon. Don't have trust in any of these. They all sat back. They all sat back. Facebook, who the hell is Zuckerberg? They all sat back and kissed the ring, knowing that this man was going to attack women's rights, attack people's Medicare and health care, attack their Social Security. You know, they knew that, and they kissed this dude's ring. That means they don't have loyalty to the country. I'm telling you, because loyalty to the country cannot be better expressed than loyalty to the citizenry. And how do you express loyalty to the citizenry? Universal health care, universal education. That means no matter how much money you have access to any form of education your grades put you in, qualify you for. Period. That's how you show loyalty to the citizenry. That's how you show loyalty to your country. And these people are trying to fuck with your brain and confuse you about it. That's what Denmark does. That's how Denmark shows loyalty to its citizenry. Universal health care, universal education. You see, that's how they show loyalty to their citizenry and their country. See, that's why I fuck with Denmark. That's why I respect Denmark, because my country has not gotten there yet. It should be. We're going to fight for it to get there. And it's going to be a beautiful fight. Let me see here. Then July, Musk said publicly, how can people be expected to have faith? Yeah, we understand you, phony. Pointing to significance of the latest records release, and Sarah Guerrero, a spokesperson for the oversight. Okay, so let me go on here. There was a few articles published there. Records release. It should be clear to every American that Jeffrey Epstein and friends was some of the most powerful and wealthiest men in the world. Take that with a capital P, in your country. Most powerful and wealthiest men in the world hanging out on Epstein Island, conspiring against the American people, keeping secrets, and not even being patriotic enough to support American citizens having access to health care and access to education. You know, now they're coming after your First Amendment rights. Yes, that's what they're doing. And when somebody comes after your First Amendment rights, they're basically trying to make you a slave. Just understand this in modern terms for what it is. Because before you had these rights, that is what you were. You were property to someone else. Someone else had all the rights and you had none, no matter who the fuck you were. If you weren't a white man that owned property, you wasn't shit. These people want to own everything today. Where is that going to leave you? You don't even have the right to a home. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm serious. You better pay attention to this. And I have no problem saying these people want to make you slaves. And you MAGA folk, you're included in the slave population. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Let's see here. Okay, well, folks got the news on this. There's a lot of this going on right now. There is this out there, and there's a lot of articles to verify. Here we go. You see what I mean? Politico has that out there. Who else did a piece on this? This is all within the last few hours. Let me see who did this one. Right. This is another one, you know, and you can see it's being revealed more that Musk had a little more to do with this than he let on. But of course, because look, a person with critical thinking skills knows no one forces you to take a picture next to Ghislaine Maxwell. It's only at your own approval that you do it. And there's no way in hell, unless you have some very lousy people working for you, that your people would allow you to stand next to a person that had done something like this without you knowing what the accusations were. It just doesn't happen. All these people have security people that investigate anyone and everyone that they would ever be in a room with before they show up. So there's no way in hell Peter Thiel, Elon Musk didn't know about all those nasty accusations. There is no way in hell. And they chose to do it anyway. And you have to ask yourself why. Because what did Epstein have to offer them? Just think about that real quick. What did Epstein have to offer them? What was his expertise? And then you will realize, wow, that's a funny question. That's hard to answer because outside of the girls and the minors and the trafficking, the dude doesn't really have expertise. They don't need his investment skills. Peter Thiel and Elon Musk don't need his invest. It's bullshit. It's just a way that you get to have what do they call it? Plausible denial. You know, it's the same way any criminal operation operates. If they want to sell traffic drugs to you, they set up a business. They don't just traffic drugs to you. They have a way to have plausibility, plausible denial there. That's how it's done every day of the week, you know. But in any case, I'm going to be back, y'all. Sorry. I can't be too long right now, but I'm going to be back here. And I'm telling you, I am going to be back. I got 3 days off, so I will be back in the next 12 hours. And the next 12 hours are going to be more intense because there were some things I didn't get a chance through. I wanted to say, if y'all get a chance, Adam Mockler has wiped the floor. The young guy at the Midas Touch, the young journalist at the Midas Touch, Adam Mockler, he wiped the floor with these right-wing pundits. And that's one of the things that I want to go over because it is so critical for you to understand how this young man has been going at them. Support them. Young people, stand up for your rights. Young people, do not be fooled. The United States can be better than ever, but you have to believe in the possibilities and you have to know where the possibilities lie. Stand up for your rights. Don't let the status quo dictate where your future is going. You have just as much right to even more of a right to dictate where the future is going than the status quo does. You see what I mean? So on that note, I'll be out, y'all. I will be out. I'm going to be back with you guys in a minute. Hold on. Let me read some of the comments real quick. AI is going to expose everything. Oh, yeah. Maybe, Rustic. Did you hear Charlie Kirk didn't copyright Turning Point USA? Oh, really? Oh, well, goddamn. Let me put that up there, Moco. I didn't know that. Yo, this is great. Yo, hey, well, you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not surprised, though. This ain't the first time that happened. Somebody else, that happened like, 5 years ago? Someone lost the rights to one of these other right-wing places. They were doing T-shirts and all of this stuff. And then someone bought it. What was it? White Lives Matter. I think that's what it was, right? So a black man bought the White Lives Matter T-shirt. That's why you don't see it anymore, right? Yeah, it's true. How about even the idea of carbon tax on our well, let me tell you, I don't know what you mean by carbon tax, but I would say this. It's obvious there's a scam going on in the U.S. You know, if you ask me, you have to start thinking about how 5 different things converge into one and where they meet, where they intersect. Now, to me, it's very obvious. Elon Musk, he wants to control the new energy, right? He wants to monopolize it. He wants to monopolize in a lot of different ways, right? So he's thinking about that, trying to head off other companies because it shouldn't be monopolized by anybody. New energy, if you want energy cheap, we don't need new energy to turn into another oil scam. Right now, we have oil companies dictating energy prices pretty much indirectly. Just the fact that it's not a competition over energy. So when you have competition, prices go down. When you have monopoly, prices go up. That's what it's always turned into. So you have people competing over new energy, right? Who's going to be the king? There should be no king. You know, People need fairness in this. And in monopoly, there's never fairness. So Elon Musk had that. He got the government contracts. He's trying to clean up as much as he can. But this is a dangerous man because, again, he doesn't give a fuck about your Social Security, your health care. He don't give a fuck about your right to access to education. This man didn't do that. He cares about himself. And the man has 3 passports. He has literally 3 citizenships, which should make people question his loyalty. Is his loyalty to himself or is his loyalty to the United States of America? That is a security issue. So, clean air, carbon tax. Well, if you have access to um, to reasonably priced L cars, if you have access to reasonably priced vehicles, and there's infrastructure there, then maybe the carbon tax will work because the air is fucking your lungs up. The pollution is it's killing people. It's killing the animals. It's killing the water. It's killing everything. You see? And on top of that, just being behind in that is going to cost the U.S. a lot of problems in other ways. When someone else is leading industry around the world, the United States becomes less safer. Trust me. When someone else is leading, the United States has 350 million people. That's more than any other single Western democracy on earth. You should be leading everything. But because of Trump, and the oil companies and Trump wanting power and being willing to sell out any issue as long as it's self-serving to him at any day of the week, he has allowed the United States to fall behind in new energy. And that is going to cost the United States of Americans security. Denmark did not. Denmark led new energy. You see what I mean? So I got to tell you, inflation in the United States, I can compare where I live, Copenhagen, and in Washington, D.C. 20 years ago, my rent has gone up about $200. I got like 140 square flat, 3-bedroom flat in Copenhagen, right? In downtown, pretty much. Not downtown, but right next to downtown in the hipster zone, right? And that cost me a little over $2,000 a month, right? In Washington, D.C., it used to cost $2,000 a month 20 years ago. 10 or something 20 years ago. Yeah. So that gives you an idea about housing inflation. DC, if you want something like that, you might be paying damn near $8,000 a month in DC for the same thing right now. Just think about that. Just think about that. And that's in any major city in the USA. There's some problems with that, cost of living, inflation. So you should think about that. If I want to go outside, the public transport system is one of the best in the world in Copenhagen. I don't need a car. I got a parking space, a private parking space, but I don't even have a car anymore because I was like, fuck this car. I can rent an L car any day, anytime I need to rent a car to go on a vacation, or anytime I need to rent a car to go to work, which I don't need because we got the best public system here, one of the best in the world. I can get anywhere I need in a half an hour in Copenhagen, max, right? So again, it's reduced my expenses. You see what I mean? And I'm a father, so that's what I need. If a father wants to take the bus and you got a newborn, if a mother wants to take the bus and she got a newborn, you don't have to clap your wagon to get on the bus. Washington, D.C., they got people clapping their wagons, emptying their wagons so they can, fold them up to get on the bus. I mean, come on. The United States really got to step up in terms of infrastructure and step up in terms of its loyalty to its citizens in a comprehensive way. Fuck all of the news, the thing that MAGA does. They want to show you babies getting ripped from their mothers so they can say they're doing something about immigration. That's not doing anything about immigration. They want to show you farms getting raided so they can tell you they're doing something about immigration. That's not comprehensive. That's not deep. That's not dealing with the issue deeply. You see what I mean? In a constructive manner, because you do need some immigrants to work on farms. You do need some immigrants to do certain kind of jobs. And not only that, you need cultural exchange too. You see what I mean? So there's a lot of things that only happen when you're dealing with issues in a comprehensive way. And the U.S., man, has politicized even fucking clean air. They're trying to tell you that, no, the hurricanes aren't getting worse. No. To the point where the federal government now doesn't even have to help you in a disaster, and it's your tax money. So in any case, maybe I just went off on a rant there, but I'm going to be back, y'all. I appreciate it. Again, Assada Shakur, rest in peace, a super heroine, a superhero, Assada Shakur. She lived by her own rules and didn't give a F what somebody else thought, but she cared about the people in her country and her community deeply. Respect to Cuba for honoring that resistance in the 1960s, honoring human and civil rights, right? Because they definitely wanted to malign this woman, right? But today we live in those same times. The images of who the enemy might be might look a little different, but we got to understand women's rights are still being attacked. People's rights to see themselves. I mean, just the fact that they would rip African Americans' faces off of ships, names off of ships, try to act like we haven't fought in every war in the history the country has ever fucking had. That's such a disgrace for anyone to do. No African American should accept that, and no other American from the colonial period whose family goes back to the colonial period that really wants to honor the history of the country should accept that. And we shouldn't accept that about each other. We need to understand all white people in America ain't one people. There's different groups, and they all don't stand for the same thing, and there's nuances. We need to accept that we all have a common fight, but our freedoms should be the number one fight. You know what I mean? And they are trying to take this. And who is behind it? People that have 3 goddamn passports. How the hell can 3 people with 3 damn passports be behind this shit? Be the money people behind it? Yo, I'm sorry. That ain't going to work. That ain't going to work. You got to narrow down your citizenry when you start digging your ass in the treasury. When you start supporting people talking about taking away Social Security, you should be more than a 3rd generation American. Yo, what the hell? What the hell? MAGA, you guys are a disgrace. You guys are a disgrace. When you start saying it's okay to euthanize homeless people, who the fuck are you? That was a 2nd generation American who stood up there on Fox News and suggested that you euthanize homeless people. What if those people, families, were connected to fighting in the Civil War, fighting in the War of Independence, fighting in Vietnam, fighting in the war in Korea, fighting in Afghanistan, fighting in Iraq? Are you gonna dare suggest you could euthanize the homeless? Man, fuck those people. Americans better wake up. Seriously, this MAGA group, Fox News, fuck you. You are a disgrace to the United States of America. They have so many phony people on there. Goddamn, what is this guy's name? I'm sorry, y'all. I got to get more pointed, but there's too many of those right-wing pundits. They're like 1st and 2nd generation Americans, and they hate other Americans. What the hell is going on there? Anyway, y'all. All right. I'll be back. I'll be back with y'all. Yeah. Anyway, I can only offer my thoughts on it. I can't do more than that. And, those of you that can catch up to it and understand where I'm coming from, I appreciate y'all, and for those of you that's going to catch up on it later, I appreciate y'all too. I'll be back. Peace.